Welcome to Backer Pause. What is Backer Pause? Our judges watch crowdfunding videos on air. When they lose interest in a video, for any reason, they hit pause and explain what caused them to experience Backer Pause. This is a fun way to teach creators about attention spans and what works and does not work for their videos. Videos featured from projects that are being advocated for on comicbookadvocates.com with permission. Want to be judge? Have a crowdfunding campaign you want to have on the show? Well, send us an email at comicsnewswire@yahoo.com, and that's comics, C-O-M-I-X. So who wants to play?
Remember to be kind and share.
Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very interesting creator, actually. We're working on some stuff on the side, but that's not for tonight. Tonight, he's going to introduce his own campaign. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir, and tell the world who you are.
Good Lord, the whole world?
The whole world.
All right, I'm Alan Silverwood. My background is I got into comics in the late 80s, early 90s, working for Marvel Comics under my birth name. You would not recognize Alan Silverwood if you went for a Google search looking for Alan Silverwood and Marvel Comics. You'd have to find me under Gary Barnum and Marvel Comics. I use my middle name and my grandmother's maiden name. Long story, but Gary Barnum is the name you'd look for if you were looking me up and you wanted to know, did this guy really work for Marvel Comics? Yes, he did. I worked with on the editorial staff. I did some writing for them. I worked on The Incredible Hulk, worked on She-Hulk, worked on G.I. Joe with Larry Hama. We had Peter David on The Incredible Hulk. We had what else do we have? We had Ghost Rider at the time, and rolled on past that. Did that for a couple of years, and rolled on past that to Hollywood. Worked at Paramount Pictures, and then rolled into Hot Wheels and working for Hot Wheels for several years. So I went from comic books to movies to toys. And my brother-in-law likes to tease me, tell me, you never had to grow up, did you? And I'm like, why would I? Started drawing my first comic book when I was about 5 years old. I can't draw, but I was doing this thing. I wanted to tell this story, and I wanted to tell it visually. So I did this little stick figure kind of thing, and it was called Garbage Can Man. He was wearing a trash can, like a suit of armor. It was inverted, and he'd kind of cut the bottom out, and he was using the shield. It was one of those old metal trash cans, so he had the shield, the lid for a shield, and he had a sword, and he fought a garbage truck, and it came at him with big teeth, and he had to fight this thing. And that was like the first kind of experience I had storytelling. I was like 5 years old. I didn't know I wanted to be a writer. I didn't even know what I was doing. It was just something I was playing around with. That was kind of early on. So I think I was kind of always destined to do writing. In grade school, I would do creative writing stories. The teachers would always read my stories. When they would read one out loud, they'd pick a few to read out loud. They would always pick mine, even though I always turned them in late. I turned them in late because I had a little ADHD thing going on. Nobody knew what ADHD was when I was a kid, but that's apparently what I had. So I got that going on. Loved doing it. Loved telling stories. Loved writing stuff. Always read books. I had a book in my pocket at all times. Got into comic books, read the heck out of them. Started following Mark Grunwald's Mark's Remarks. Mark Grunwald, great guy. Followed his advice. Started going to San Diego Comic-Con. It was the biggest Comic-Con of anything. And at that time, it was so much smaller, you could actually go up and talk to the professionals. And I went and I met with one of the professionals from Marvel UK named Richard Starkings, who wound up moving over to the United States. Moved to New York, and he was like, at the time I was working for a publishing company in Los Angeles as an associate editor. I had just gotten hired on just by chance. I was young. I hadn't even finished my degree or anything, but they hired me because it beat out people who had their degrees. He talked to me, decided he wanted to see LA. I said, come up, I'll show it to you. And then he moved to New York, and he said, they've got an opening for an assistant editor that just came up. Why don't you move to New York and try out for this thing? I'm like, sure, I'll come out there. So he had me come out and stay with him. He was staying in the apartment of this editor who had just lost her assistant editor, and he let me stay with him. I packed up my stuff, moved to New York, and a week later I was working for Marvel Comics. And living in the apartment of the editor I was working for. It was just kind of funny. It happened really fast. That was it. It was just boom, overnight. It was like an overnight thing. I was working like, oh my God, I'm working at Marvel Comics. Walking around the offices, it's like, hey, I know who you are. I know who you are. And, within no time at all, I was actually writing some short stories for them and meeting people, famous people, anyone from Stan Lee to, you name it, John Romita, Chris Claremont, those guys were running around, Walt Simonson. Just legends strolling the halls, just hanging out. It was an amazing time. And of course, we had a lot of fun. It was crazy. But then I left it. Had a lot of personal problems, with family stuff, and had some disappointments and setbacks while I was there. Some things that, as a young guy, I didn't really quite get. And walked away, left it, and went to Hollywood. That was a whole nother set of stuff. Went on and spent a few years kind of distracted doing other things, and had a couple of kids. That'll take some time out of your life. And circled back around one day and said, I had all these ideas I wanted to do. Some of the guys that I knew from Marvel Comics were like, why don't you do those things? And I'm like, what? Why don't I do them? So I started doing them. I also had some novels I always meant to write, and I started doing that too. So I write books and I write comic books. And since I can't draw when it comes to the comic books, I got to hire artists. And so I hire some artists to do those. Got myself some really good guys doing some art for me. Really thankful for that. And started putting out the first book I started putting out is Spies Among Us. Superpowered Individuals is what SPI stands for. Spies Among Us. And the reason why that makes sense is because spies, superpowered individuals, have been hiding among the general populace, and they've been kept kind of secret by Dr. Anonymous, who is a spy himself, but nobody really knows who he is or how he does what he does or how he keeps them a secret. But basically, anytime they are exposed to the public, he shows up and makes whatever event has occurred that has exposed them to the public disappear. He makes it unhappen. If buildings are destroyed, people are hurt, people are killed, whatever, it's like it never happened. People are resurrected, people are uninjured, but everybody forgets that it happened. It even gets erased from video. It gets erased from any kind of recording device. It's like it never happened. The only people who remember it, of course, are spies. So they're living among us. But then one day he mysteriously vanishes. And when that happens, the public goes crazy. The world just kind of breaks out in chaos. It's like, what do you mean these people are living among us? And they kind of freak out, and the world goes into panic and chaos. This happens in 2012, and that is a clue. This book is kind of a mystery as well as a superhero type of a thing. And it's kind of epic. There's a lot of characters, and there's a lot of factions, and there's several things going on. It's not an easy elevator pitch type of a story, being that it's kind of an epic story. But where was it going? Man, I lost my train of thought there. Anyway, so what happens is a group of spies set out to find Dr. Anonymous, see if he can put the genie back in the bottle. Because basically what starts happening is one of the spies gets killed, and they don't know if it's the norms, quote unquote, normal people are killing them, or is, you know, the factions among spies. It's like, what's happening here? There's so much going on. They're just trying to fight their way through the chaos of the world that's now left to them in the absence of Dr. Anonymous, that they don't even know what's happening and who's killing who. And they're just trying to get through that and find Dr. Anonymous and what happened to him. And I drop you right in the middle of that chaos. You have to kind of follow the clues, look for the hints. But there are some clues and hints, pretty strong ones. And it's kind of fun kind of figuring out what's happening and what might be the case. There's some interesting characters in there that are influenced by real people. Sort of fun to figure out who they might be. In some cases, it's obvious. Some cases, it's less obvious. But in some cases, it's not anybody at all. But that's fun too. But we keep the action rolling. You get to know people through what they do and how they act. I always hesitate to call it a superhero book because everybody in this book that has superpowers has the ability to do good or bad, and sometimes in some cases both. Like the characters that you see, for example, there's a guy in the first issue, he's like your big, you know, you think, oh, this is your main superhero, right? Well, by the third issue, he's breaking the Geneva Convention. So don't assume anyone is necessarily all good or all bad. You know, anyone's capable of going any way, just like, you know, kind of like real life. It's like you don't know what's happening. Plus, a lot of these guys are, you know, they've been kept secret. Many of them didn't happen to have to hide their identities as superpowered individuals. So a lot of them didn't necessarily have costumes. A lot of them had to kind of go out and grab stuff. So you'll see Fortress there. She's, you know, she has a yoga outfit on. Sometimes people actually had to go and grab whatever they could. You know, they'd go to a sports store or a camping store or you know, a surplus store, whatever, grab stuff at the last minute and put stuff together. Once they're exposed, they're like, I've got to put something together, you know, they just kind of throw stuff together and it's like whatever they could. In some cases, they're actually outfitted by different situations and people. The government does know about spies. That's another situation. There is a secret town that we reveal in the second issue, which is on Kickstarter right now, which is called Carbuncle, South Dakota. It's a secret town where spies who couldn't pass for norms. A lot of spies, they just look like you and me. Just because they have superpowers doesn't mean they couldn't pass for normal. Wild Swan, however, for example, with her wings, couldn't walk around in the normal world. And there are people like her. They couldn't pass for norms walking around in the world, so there's a secret town for them, and then it's Carbuncle, South Dakota. It's a secret place out in the Black Hills, and that's where those kind of people hide, spies that can't pass for human. And we discover that in the second issue. We kind of do a little quick cover of that town, and they're spies who just never, ever look fully human, and they've had to hide there. So we kind of expose that. That's an extra stretch. We get a little bit of the humanity of why some of the spies how they get a reaction from normal humans and how normal humans are beginning to react to spies and how that's affecting spies. You know, some of them are, you know, really hurt by the fact that now people that they could probably normally relate to will no longer relate to them once they know that they're not a normal human. They're a superpowered individual. They're spies. It's like now they're just like you're something else. You're another thing. You know, so we get a little bit of that in the second issue, and basically at this point they're just trying to survive long enough to get to the search, get on with the search. We also find where we're going in the third issue. You see some pages from the third issue that I threw forth on here. We start finding out that the government has been rounding up. They've got the Court of Justice, which they send out to capture spies or recruit spies. You have two choices. You either join us in rounding up spies, or we put you in detention. And where they put you in detention becomes kind of a fun story. It's kind of weird and kind of fun. Spies go back a lot longer than you think. Spies have been among us for centuries. Spies lived on the planet as long as it's been here. You think about mythology. You think about mythology being Greek gods or Norse gods or Egyptian gods. Well, those guys were spies. They were just basically superpowered individuals in older times, and norms worshiped them as gods. But they were just spies. That's all they were. They had superpowers and they used them in a certain way. But in the time of mass media, in our time, that's when Dr. Anonymous emerged, and as spies' numbers multiplied, he came forward and started hiding them because it became obvious that it was going to be seen as a reality rather than just mythology. And to protect them, he started hiding them. And as long as they didn't become public, it was no big deal. But anytime they became public, he would show up. That's Requiem Bell. You'll see she's crazy. She's crazy. She's one of the main villains. I love how this kind of looks like a portrait you'd see in like the Haunted Mansion or something like that. She has this amazing power to scream your soul out of your body. Basically, if she walks into a crowd of people and gives her scream, Requiem Bell, she turns you into a zombie under her control. So she can turn a forum full of people. She walks into a Comic-Con and gives her scream. She's instantly got a zombie army at her command. She's category 5 level threat. She's a major issue. This piece was done by Kevin West, and we're using it as a Virgin cover. It's just a beautiful piece, and it really captures the essence of Requiem Bell. And she makes her first appearance in the second issue in a backup story, which also is the first time you actually see Dr. Anonymous in action, and it's also the last time he makes a public appearance. In other words, it's the last time Dr. Anonymous does anything before he disappears, and it's the first time you actually see him in the comic book. But it's you're seeing him for the first time, but it's actually his last public appearance in the world. And Requiem Bell happens to be a part of that situation. Also, the Point and the Pendulum are part of that situation, but they're also part of the main story as well. The Point basically is chasing Requiem Bell. They're both from Hungary. Not really important side story. It's just kind of an interesting side story, but different characters. The Black Ghost is the character. You don't have a picture of him on the cover. He's basically kind of been sort of in another place for most of this issue. He is a character who basically has the ability to turn from shadow to solid black matter that's like incredibly hard, like dark matter to like really dense hard black matter, or intangible shadow where he can pass through and walk through things. the whole range, but he does have to pass through a moment of, just normal density, leaving him with a little bit of exposure. This is a battle with the court of justice. You have General Justice on the attack. You have Captain Corona, ironically named after the coronas that you see around the sun, long before there was a coronavirus. Major Impact, and back you'll see Sergeant Streamline or Streamliner, and they are facing Trembler and Suction. That's the beginning of this. They take the two of them, and that's going to lead us into exposing what happens to superpowered individuals when they refuse to work with them and they're arrested by the Court of Justice. Where are they taken? Where did they go? Well, we find out in the third issue. But in this issue, they capture some, so we find out. So we'll be following them. General Justice is having a hard time with all of this. He's not really cool with this, what he has to do, leading this team and doing these things. So there's a little bit of a crisis of conscience with him, which is kind of nice. I think that you have this guy who's supposed to be the lead representative of this, government team, and he's the guy that's going, I don't know if I really think this is right. I'm not happy being the guy that goes out there and says, you either join us or we arrest you for the government because you're a spy, when he's a spy himself. It doesn't really make sense to him. So he's starting to have his own doubts about this whole thing. What else can I tell you about this, guys? It's a pretty good mix of action and intrigue. It's like I said, it's a mystery. What we're offering with this, we offer a lot of variant covers. We have a couple of interesting things. We got Raymond Lee, who is an amazing artist, and I think, some of his stuff. Maybe I've done it in updates, and maybe I've got it on the story page. Raymond Lee is an amazing artist, and we had him do a really nice piece for the first issue for a cover. So we had him do another one for this one. And he's also willing to do a print of any spy of your choice. And if you look at if you go on Pop Skull Press's Facebook page, I've got an album in our photo section that just shows you a little bit of Raymond Lee's art. You can see kind of the sort of stuff he does, and it's out of this world. I mean, he just does amazing work, and he's willing to do any spy, and anyone you want. He'll do a commission. That piece of the big nice piece of Wild Swan, he did that for someone from the first campaign, and it came out great. It really nails her, because the great thing about Wild Swan is, she seems like she's kind of like she's just kind of a beautiful, she's got this kind of she looks like kind of a stereotypical, like a kind of almost like an Asian model, delicate, except she's got the wings. But the thing about her is that she drinks whiskey, she plays poker, and she cheats, and she smokes cigars, and she cusses like a sailor, and she kicks butt. So she's nothing like a stereotype, but she runs around smoking cigars and cussing. That's her. That's Wild Swan, and she smokes cigars and kicks butt. And he did a beautiful, beautiful piece of her playing cards, and she's throwing down a hand of 5 aces. It's like, yep, that's Wild. As she's drinking a whiskey and smoking a cigar, it's like, that's Wild Swan. So he really did a great job, and it's a beautiful piece that he did. And he's looking to do, he's happy to do more of these guys, but he particularly loves doing Wild Swan. And I'm like, that's got to be hard with the wings, but he's offering to do them at an incredible price, actually, for what he does, because he paints. He paints these digital paintings. It's beautiful stuff. we've got that. We've also offered. We had a couple of offers. In the first one where it's like get yourself in as a spy. We'll give you a cameo, get your likeness on a spy in a cameo in a future issue. We had a couple of people take us up on that. We got a couple of really interesting spies out of that. And we've got a couple more of those for offer on this one. They haven't been taken yet. They went right away on the first issue. They haven't been taken on this issue yet. Like the first issue was complete by the time we offered the Kickstarter. That's the Raymond Lee cover. This one's almost more like it's the point. He's clearly the focal point of this point. No pun intended. He's jumping. They're surrounded by a crowd. That's kind of the problem they're dealing with right now. And he kind of nailed it. And the pendulum, he carries that pendulum axe. That's actually a spiritual weapon. Essentially, it was Excalibur in a past life. And back in the back, you see Windspinner. She's basically Simone Biles. Or she was very much influenced by Simone Biles. Was talking about the tears, wasn't I? We're losing my train of thought. It happens with ADHD a little bit. Where was I before I saw that picture? I was talking about the first book. With the first book, we had the book actually complete except for printing when we came out with the Kickstarter. Same thing here. The book is complete except for the printing. So, it's really it's a safe pledge. The book's going to get delivered. No problems there. In fact, we've got the third issue drawn. So the third issue's already there. So it's not only a safe pledge to get in on this one, but the next issue is coming too. It's not like you're going to get left hanging. We are moving forward. So you'll be able to follow the story. It's going to continue. We've got some stretch goals. We haven't really announced them out there yet. We did a kind of a tribute to the old Avengers where they put the little heads. John Buscema did a lot of these on the Avengers, the little heads in the corner. And artist Walter Giovanni did something really nice. And I was like, I can see some John Buscema in this. And so I had him do some heads for us. He did some nice heads. And I made a set of stickers. And I had him use 4 heads of 4 of our spies and did a sticker set. We put that in as a stretch goal and just as one of the small ones in the first issue. And then he actually did 8 heads. So I've got another set of stickers, 4 more heads for this issue as one of the things we're going to do. We've also got a cluster of some PDFs of some really great creators' books that we want to put in to share with other people. We've also got some trading cards we're working on, some nice little trading cards to go in just for some stretch goals, adding a few extra little things in there. But we kind of wanted to focus more on the variant covers with this issue. That seemed to be what people were more interested in with the first issue. So we kind of went that way. We're like, well, let's add in like that virgin cover and kind of go with an extra virgin with an extra variant cover, kind of aim in that direction a little bit more and see if that's more what people are looking for. We also have add-ons. So if you missed the first issue, get in, add on the first issue. We also did a handbook, which it's a 24-page issue. It has every character that appeared in the first issue in it. And it gives you a lot of background information that you would gradually get over several issues, but we put it all in this source book. It's the Classified Files Handbook, and it's also in the add-ons. Some people have said they've had a hard time finding the physical rather than the PDF, but they are both in there in the add-ons. You just have to look because they're not together. They should be together, but it split them up somehow for some reason. I think because of the price range, but they are both in there as the add-on. So you get the first issue, PDF for physical. You can get the Classified Files Handbook, PDF, or physical. You can get the variant covers from the first issue as physical in there. So there are, some add-ons in there too. Gosh, what else? I think I might be covering it pretty well.
Well, I definitely think it's an interesting premise. I like the fact that you got to go in depth with it. And this is going to be available until, I want to say, September
9th is when we have to shut it down. We are over 70% funded, and we've got 2 weeks. We need, like as you can see, we need about $500 more to hit goal on this. And we're 74% of the way there. And we just need a little more to get there. So we're like asking people to just share, jump in. It's a safe, it's a safe pledge. You're good. And it's definitely interesting. We've got great art. We've got great stories, interesting characters, and a lot of fun.
Well, it definitely looks like something that's awesome and almost a throwback to the 90s styles of comic books.
There's a little throwback feel to it, yeah.
Sorry, I sneezed. It looks great. I definitely appreciate bringing it. We only have one other video to watch and some announcements to make. So do you want to go ahead and watch the other person's video and see if you find a reason to pause the video?
Let's check it out.
All right. So this is going to be Seed Seekers. This is now on Kickstarter by Martha Schwartz. So we're going to play the video. You can raise your hand if you lose interest and experience backer pause. I'll be able to see you despite the video. Actually, I think the video takes the whole screen up. But either way, just raise your hand. We'll come back out and talk about why you experience backer pause. Then we have some exciting announcements to go over and some coming attractions. You ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
Finding happiness is another great story in the development of the Seed Seeker Kingdom. In this story, you will meet one of our main heroes, Toby, and discover his past. Learn why Toby became humble and how he personally built among the diverse ships of his family. Why he is strong yet adversive at times. Not only will you get to understand him, but what it means to find your own personal happiness.
All right, what'd you think?
I like what she's doing with that. I mean, I've got a few of these. I have not caught up on all of them because she's been doing quite a few of these. And I've got a few, and I want to catch up on them.
Yep, and that we're pretty excited to announce that she is funded heading to 2,000.
Yeah.
And she's doing good. So you guys can get your copy now. This is going to happen. And it's a good time to be a fan of Seed Seekers. Martha's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a couple announcements, including the fact that you're now covered on TikTok because we are now doing something called, first off, we're going to be doing the coming soon. So if you have a project that's coming soon, please let us know because we want to make sure that we're helping people build up the fact that they're going to be on Kickstarter. That's just Jack's in the background. Being all excited. He's playing, I think, a video game right now. So we're also, what's that?
Okay.
All right.
And this is Backer Talk. So Kickstarter, Backer Pause has a TikTok version now. In 60 seconds, we're going to tell you everything that's crowdfunding, including Spies right now, that is now on Kickstarter. And, of course, we talked about Martha's project. And we have some previews for you. So the Satanic Coloring Book is going to be on Kickstarter. I mean, whatever.
I love it.
This is definitely something interesting. Immortal Era makes its return. This has been a huge hit. Won a bunch of awards for the Independent Creator Awards that we're doing. The Independent Creator Awards will return later this year in November. Voting starts, so join the page now. We'll see that very soon. We're also going to have, for the first time ever, we also, just a shout out, also still on Kickstarter, we're going to give love to 2 other programs. They don't have videos, though. Sean is back with Terra Olympus, Volume 1, 2, and 3 graphic novel. You guys can get this now on Kickstarter. Earth is a distant memory, and humanity now lives in space on a space station, Terra Olympus. This is an amazing science fiction graphic novel series. And Scorpina, which is going to be brought to us by the amazing C.B. Zane and talented other artists. This is going on now. The third issue is all about the most dangerous women in comics. Some more coming soon attractions for you guys. So you guys, and remember to, when you're doing all these coming soons, please take the time to go to the pages and subscribe so you know when they go live. So Time Trader, we actually have the video ahead of its launch. How would you like to see the world premiere of this? No one has seen this. We get to play this. How would you like to see this, my friend?
I am curious.
Check this out.
Hey guys, Michael Dolce here, creator of The Sire for Sire Studios, Descendant for Image Comics, Plan 59 for Dren Productions, and the very latest book that I have coming out, Time Trader for Rogue Matter. My best advice for creators, I could break down to 3 things trying to break into the industry. 1, make comics. 2.
Sorry, that's actually for something else. That is actually for my my appearance. Actually, we're going to be filming it right after this for the Inbion Con. You guys got a little sneak peek of what we're doing. We had a bunch of creators come in. Don't tell your friends that we leaked that by accident. It's a week of leaks. It's a week of leaks. First Spider-Man, now this show. All right, so here's really the thing. Now, enough with the leaks to tease what we're doing. Here we go, the real video for his campaign.
My name is Dylan Sharp. For most of my life, I've had the uncanny ability to manipulate time. More specifically, 24-hour intervals of time. When I choose to, I can literally undo anything in my past up to 24 hours the previous day. It's like a running timer in my brain. I hit rewind, and bam, I'm right back where I was the day before. Not 2 minutes, not 2 hours, but exactly 24 hours previous, complete with all the memories and experiences to boot. It's something that could really come in handy right now if I wasn't still groggy from the drugs. I don't know what they used to spike my drink, or how they knew it would block my powers, or how they even knew I had powers at all. What's worse is, I can't help thinking, if it wasn't for my damn mother, I wouldn't be in this situation to begin with.
That was kind of cool, right?
Yeah. Made me think of Archer for a minute there.
Yes, a little bit. Archer, actually, by the way, for those watching, Archer's back tonight.
That's right. Tonight, man, can't wait.
I'm ready preset to record it. Yeah, I'll be down with the Archer. And then, I know you guys have been asking for it. It's been over a year since we had a second issue. I promised you it was coming out, and here it comes. It's Cat Dead and Supermom #2. What Makes a Hero? So, world premiere for the video. It's on Kickstarter on September 9th. This will be the September 7th, I should say. It is. This video is the first of probably many videos. I change videos every week because I'm just crazy that way. I like to change it up. So here is the official premiere, and you guys are going to see covers of. We haven't even shown the main release cover yet from Raheel. So here it is. Welcome to Cat Dead and Supermom #2. What Makes a Hero? See that mask right there? That's a representation of my son. That is a representation of becoming a better parent. That's a representation of trying to be, in many ways, a symbol of hope. Cat Dead is something I strive to be as a parent. And when we started on this journey for the second issue, we knew it had to be as powerful and as good as the first issue. The problem is, how do you do that? You don't. You stop and you just make a quality story. So if you never read the first book, that doesn't matter. This one stands alone. And it stands powerfully alone as it tells a tale about how dangerous it can be to meet your heroes and how much they can crush your heart. But there's a surprise. Not only in the dream world does something happen, but there's a visitor who sets heroics on the right path. Please join us for this second campaign and remember to rise against bullying. I'd rather just be honest with you. I'd rather be humble with you and tell you why I created the story. You see that little boy over my shoulder, right over there, and the other side, the Supermom, and The big elephant that farts, all of that is based on my boy. He's a special needs 5-year-old who I love with all my heart. And he has made me a better man and has taught me what unconditional love is. So if this story is about him, the standard had to be higher. So what'd you think?
That's fun. And that sounds really, really sweet. Really awesome. Like you really got it. You really get it. That is the way to parent.
I try. I always say and any parent knows this, it's a day-by-day negotiation of love and frustration.
Yeah. Not every kid gets lucky enough to have a parent like that.
I appreciate that. And we can't be more thrilled to be back on Kickstarter this year with the second long-awaited issue. I've heard nothing but people asking when the next issue will be here, and it is here. But of course, on our way out today, because we're already at 45 minutes just about, we want to actually watch your video. We never got to see your video.
We were goofing around. We were kind of like, we were trying to do something kind of playful. My daughter helps me write this because she helps me kind of like, she and I both, she inherited we're both kind of on the spectrum, like high functioning, and she inherited the same thing. So she kind of helps me write the dialogue and stuff. She kind of comes in and helps me kind of like do the writing and stuff. So we work together on this thing. We actually get to work together, which is really a cool thing. So we were playing around with this video. We decided to have a little fun with it.
Well, let's check it out and see what kind of fun you guys got into. Of course, because you're the guest, there is no pause tonight. You get to play the whole video in entirety. So this is, just check it out. A father and daughter duo talking about spies.
Hi, we are Alan and Allie, the father-daughter writing duo of Spies Among Us. We are back with issue 2, and we are so glad to have you here with us.
We know it's been kind of a weird year, and we wanted to acknowledge that. Who could have foreseen that superpowered individuals were real and living among us?
Their exposure has created so much chaos.
But we continue to tell you the story as the action heats up with new spies and revelations about their existence. And where is this Dr. Anonymous? And can he be found in the middle of all this madness?
We gotta run, but there's a lot of good stuff here. Please check it out. We're so glad to have you back, and we'll see you soon, we hope.
That made me giggle. I'm not gonna lie. I like that video. That was pretty damn cool.
Just goofing.
But we're out of here. That's it. That's the show for this evening. And of course, I want you to back Spies. And on his way out, he's going to tell you how you can follow this very talented young man who's been, like I said, working on a project behind the scenes that we'll probably be talking about next year together. But for now, it's all about Spies in issue 2. And give him a teaser. When can we see it? Because we know you're going to fund. Especially after this show, people are going to back you. We're going to get you shared. We're going to get you out there. We're going to get you funded. When will issue 3 be the next crowdfunding campaign be showing up?
I am, let's see, it's in coloring. So depending on how fast the coloring thing goes, we are looking at maybe spring or early summer, probably. Would be about when I'm thinking of launching 3. That was the plan for actually issue 2, but it wound up getting bumped back with the way things have been. But yeah, for number 3, we're probably looking at early summer. I'm gonna be conservative and say early summer, and if we can, maybe a little bit earlier. But I would say early summer next year.
Very, very cool. We look forward to it. And on the way out, remember, guys, to always share these types of stories, even if they're not for you. There's someone in your probably life who will enjoy this. I mean, if you're watching this show, that means that you're into comics, so you know someone who will enjoy it. So there have been a bunch of new things coming out. Make sure you subscribe to them all. Spies looks amazing. If I haven't backed it, I will make sure to back it myself to make sure we get it going there. I never know what I back because I'm on the show all the time, and I think I've backed it because I have ADHD too. I'll go all the way to the point of going to backing and get distracted. My son will make a noise, and I'll come back later, and I'll be like, my browser just crashed. I wonder what I was in the middle of.
Right. Yeah. No, I have the same problem. I'm like, I have a lot of things that I forget to back, or, it's like, there's only so many things I get a chance to back sometimes. It's like, I try to back as much as I can, especially with indies, it's like, I want to kind of really keep the indie community propped up, so I try to do as much as I can with it, but it's hard to remember, it's like you said, the ADHD brain. It's like, oh, look, something over here, and you've got people coming at you. Hi. Hey there.
He came to campaign for something, probably a new video game. But on the way out, guys, remember, TikTok is the future. Whether you like it or not, TikTok's going to be the place where we get to play with each other and actually do streams and stitches of each other's videos. It's a great way for things to happen. So join me on TikTok, and you can also go to comicbookschool.com, join them, and Comic Book Advocates as well. And we're gonna get you on it too. We're gonna have Silverwood TikTok. We got to get you and your daughter to do some TikToks. I think it'd be awesome.
We totally need to do some. We're both on there, so I just haven't done much. I noticed that you do a lot of video stuff. I don't do a lot of video stuff. I'm afraid of getting in front of cameras. So I gotta work on that.
After that video, I want to see more of those like breaks in the background falling.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Little shorts. You do them, tag me in them. I will stitch them. I will laugh with you guys. I'll have some fun.
I should connect with you on there. Are you Mr. Anderson on TikTok?
Mr. Anderson is just me. It's just so it's like the guy who does everything. So I'll be talking about ADHD 1 minute, and we'll be talking about like hamburgers for some reason. It'll just be like because I'm cooking hamburgers. That is my ADHD. No one understands, but you will. And ADHD mind never stops. Yeah. It has a million things. Like people are like, how come you just don't write one genre? I'm like, I have ADHD. It's impossible.
Right. Well, I have a steampunk comic too. We could talk about my steampunk comic. No, I actually stopped using my Alan Silverwood Instagram and just went to my Popsicle Press, and that's all I use. And I just focus on like comics on there because the Alan Silverwood was all over the damn place. I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to go to the Popsicle one, and then I can focus on comics on that one, and I can remember to do that.
That's what I'm doing on TikTok with Comic Book Advocates. Just comics, Rob. Stop.
Right.
Favorite comics.
Right. You have to kind of like put up your own boundaries sometimes.
And you have your other one to do whatever you want, Rob. So here it is. Here's your life. Two TikToks, and then you have one for continue. By next year, I'll have 22 TikToks for all the different things I do. I thank you all for being here. Remember, on our way out, this is two important things. You saw it already, be kind and share, but more importantly than being kind and share is how powerful a single dollar can be. Let me explain. We're out of here. Thank you for being on tonight.
Thanks much.
The power of a single dollar. One single dollar can help make dreams come true. Every dollar is a declaration of support and belief. It helps the creators and the teams behind the book. Just $1 helps create new worlds and keeps creators creating. All right, guys, we're out. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure to go out and support Spies. Which way? There we go. Support Spies this weekend. I know I will be. I look forward to the return of Cat Dad, a time traveler, and we had a bunch of other great things, including in Beyond Con this weekend. I get to close out the show at 6 p.m., so make sure you tune in then. We'll see you later.